Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Josh Golden, the president and publisher for Ad Age, and today you're joining a conversation about keeping it real with parents in 2020, how brands can better partner to how brands can be a better partner to parents. As you're watching this today, let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from, and we'll give some shout outs later in the program. We know that this year has brought with it some insurmountable stress with parents in particular, like moi, who had to face challenges they'd never thought they'd have to deal with. And in particular, the parent community on Twitter offers the chance to build deep connections while sharing tips, pain points, and the general realness of parenting. So true. For many, the community is an anchor validating their shared experiences and offering a welcome release from the stress of day-to-day life. Joining me for this conversation today is Kanur Patel, the CPG industry manager for Twitter, and Maya McDonald, the brand activations leads for the Kraft Heinz company. Kanur and Maya, welcome both of you, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Josh.
You are welcome. I'm actually, believe it or not, in New York City, in my office. Well, it's more like the studio, not in my office, but I'm in New York. I'm bucking the curve. I'm trying to get back in the city, buying lunch.
Good. As long as you're by yourself, you're good. You're
yeah, right. It's very right. It's a little lonely, but I'm here. I'm going to open the conversation with Kanur, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious. As a parent, I happen to see in your background you have a little playhouse back there. I'm guessing that was maybe it wasn't this one. Maybe I saw it last time when we were chatting. But as your experience as a parent, what role has social media played with you as a parent?
Yeah, Josh, thank you for letting everyone online know that I am reporting live from my kids' playroom.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
it looks
yeah, unfortunately, this is my space in this time of homeschooling and co-working with my husband. So, yes, there is a playroom behind me, but I think that actually speaks well to the role that social is playing in my life right now. So being a parent right now is literally inescapable with everyone home and all of the challenges facing parents today. And I'm grateful for social media for two reasons. And one is social is a source of information for me in a world where everything is changing very quickly. And there are a lot of implications to how I parent and work. And it's also a source of real talk. And I think this is where Twitter itself has a lot of value. So Twitter is what's happening always in the world. And during COVID in particular, we're seeing more and more parents turn to us as their primary source of information around COVID and how to take care of their families. And then the element that's especially Twitter is the real talk. Honestly, some other social platforms make me feel like a failure. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes I'm wiping cream cheese from breakfast off my top before I get onto a Zoom call with a CMO. Or, there are tantrums. The kids are dealing with this change and stress themselves. And so on Twitter, I've been able to find moments of levity and community because parents aren't afraid to kind of give the unvarnished solution. So I come for the tips and tricks to being a parent during COVID. I come because it has the latest information around in my state and city. But then I stay because I see parents like myself. I don't have to worry about being perfect or filtered. I can really find community.
Yeah, I'm interested, Maya. What do you think, if there is something specific that you can share with me, and maybe Kanur, you can offer this as well. What makes Twitter parent unique for the Kraft Heinz brand, and from other platforms, and in specifically, how has the community evolved in response to the current events? Maybe you can speak to that first, Maya.
Totally. I think Kanur said it perfectly in just terms of like the authenticity of the Twitter mom. Like you think about what a Twitter mom is sharing, and it is that real time. It is, kind of unbridled thoughts. It is, keeping it real. When you think about some other platforms, especially things like Instagram or Facebook, where, moms feel like this pressure to be perfect rather than just kind of showing the progress or what's happening every day. So I think when we think about Twitter as a platform, we really are thinking about how can we authentically speak to these moms. And it's honestly incredible just the amount of information and what moms are sharing in real time to really make sure we're thinking about, okay, what are the real struggles? What are things that moms are going through, the good, the bad, and the ugly? And then within that, where does our brand authentically have the right to play or the right to, provide value or help or, even a moment of levity to make her smile or to make her day a little bit better. So that's really how we kind of think about Twitter compared to a lot of the other platforms, because it is what's happening in real time.
Yeah, and Knorr, do you have some other thoughts to augment parent uniqueness?
Yeah, I'd say, one thing we're seeing is the parenting conversation is exploded this year. So it's up more than 40% year on year. And I think that totals about 200 million tweets about parenting. And when we see the brands that really effectively market to this audience, like many of Maya's brands, they're doing a great job listening to what's happening on the platform. And that's largely because on a platform like Twitter, our research is showing that 78% of our moms actually feel like they're heard on Twitter. So she's coming to the platform to talk about what it's really like, right? The cream cheese on her shirt before a big work meeting, or the challenges.
As shirt, you're okay. I mean, it
yeah.
depends.
Strategic.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Was it today?
Yeah, and it was Philly cream cheese, Maya. Just
Oh,
so you're aware. But we had bagels today. Yeah, we had bagels today, Josh. So I knew I would be safe if I stuck with the white. But again, that's the challenge of parenting today, and that's what people are coming to our platform for, right? What are those solutions that are simple enough to fit in a tweet? Because parents are working, they're homeschooling, they're doing so many things. And the brands, to Maya's point, that can either provide information to parents and simple solutions, or create a sense of community through laughter or levity, are the ones that are really winning. And that all starts with listening to better understand that 200 million tweets about parenting.
Wow, it's amazing. I just wanted to welcome everyone today to our conversation. Again, I'm Josh Golden, the president and publisher at Ad Age, and I have with me today Knorr Patel, who is the CPG industry manager for Twitter, and Maya McDonald, the brand activations lead for the Kraft Heinz company. Some shout outs from some folks that are watching today. We have Marcel from Romania, Elizabeth from New York, Dunia from California, Bobby from Connecticut, Yasmin from Belgium, Padrip from England, Athena from New York, and Monica from Mexico. Almost all alliterative, I want to say. It was good selection by the production team to pull out the folks that have similar cities and names that are similar. To you, Maya, I have a question about how brands are communicating differently and tapping into this powerful parent audience. And I'm just, only because I'm endlessly asking this question to all the brand marketers that we are working with, what's locked in, meaning it's sort of brought into this sort of year of change, and then what do you think has changed so much that's actually going to be locked in going forward?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. At the beginning, especially of COVID, we were seeing just how different things were happening, just obviously in our world, but also on social. And so what we immediately did was we reevaluated everything that we were putting out to make sure that obviously fit the context of how much the world has changed. So we really wanted to make sure whatever our always on plan was, it was not a set and forget it thing. It was really ideating pretty quickly with our agencies about, what are the needs of consumers? How can we tap into social listening, especially on Twitter, to understand how our consumers are doing, whether they're moms, whether, they're millennials, to really understand what it is that they needed in order to provide value from a brand perspective. So one thing that's always stayed the same, that's always important to me, but I think more so than ever, is really making sure that we're providing that value to our consumers. So when we think about it, it's like, can we provide that moment of levity, a smile for a stressed mom in the middle of the day, and even tapping into those communities and thinking about what are the micro audiences within that to make sure that we're creating content that's really customized to them. If it's the mom at 2 a.m. who's logging onto Twitter because she's having a sleepless night, or somebody in the morning, who's scrolling in bed, really wanting to make sure that we're delivering on content that's serving their needs to, again, provide some of that entertainment, or also tangible value. Like, we've had a lot of campaigns over the summer where we're literally using Fuji, which is a partner that Twitter uses often, to deliver product on demand for stressed parents, or even activity kits or something that can provide value to really help them. So I don't think that has changed by any means because it's always been an important thing for marketers, but it's something that we've really doubled down on recently and think through a lot more deeply as we're coming up with campaigns and content and plans.
Right. I've seen that Kraft Heinz rolled out something for Kraft macaroni and cheese, which was just, I would say, leaning heavily into levity and humor and also kind of reality. I think, actually, Max, can you bring that up just so we can take a look at the article? Yeah. Do we want to play it? I thought it was awesome.
Sure.
And I got to admit, I did it once. So for the record, it's been used. Max, why don't you roll it?
It's morning. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. Your kids are... So start their day with a bowl of Kraft mac and cheese for breakfast. It's the same mac they love, but 100% more breakfastier. Because you 100% need a break. Kraft macaroni and cheese for breakfast for the win-win.
So good. So good. I love that. I mean, obviously, this is played directly into the sort of the honesty and communication that Knur was just mentioning. Maya, what was the thing that motivated this campaign?
Yeah, so when we were looking at the beginning of lockdown, obviously parents were incredibly justifiably stressed. And we were really looking at them sharing kind of those authentic moments. And we saw a ton of tweets pop about, stressed parents about what they were going to feed their kids. Everything is kind of the same for breakfast. They need to switch things up. And then a few parents were even tweeting like, you know what? I gave my kids Kraft mac and cheese for breakfast. It was a win for them. It was a win for me. Like, YOLO, it's 2020. And so we really leaned into that. And we're like, it's great. Like Kraft really believes in like releasing the pressures of parenting. And for us, it was the perfect way to do that, to really show that, give yourself a break. It's okay. Mac and cheese for breakfast is great. Mac and cheese anytime is great. But, to make your kids happy, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I want to just give both Knur and Maya the ability to bring up a few tweets that you think are relevant for how parenting has been done differently and also the honesty that comes out. Can we bring up a few of those? And maybe Knur and Maya, you can speak to them.
Yeah.
Sure. This one's my favorite. So, sorry we're late. My 3-year-old decided he had to eat his soup with a fork. I can definitely, as I was saying before, relate to this one with a 3-year-old in my house.
Was there a second one that you called out?
Yes, this is my favorite. So welcome to parenthood. Your refrigerator is now a graveyard for your kids' half-finished drinks.
So true.
Yeah, as an adult, it is still a graveyard for half-finished drinks too. So, I can relate.
My daughter the other day put away a half-eaten cherry ice into the freezer. I was like, who eats a half ices? Who does that? But it is so true. And those tweets are really relevant. Obviously, Twitter is a place where parents can be honest and have that relevancy and also be reflected in the audience that's reading and engaging with it. We have reached the end of our time together. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Knur Patel from Twitter and Maya McDonald from the Kraft Heinz Company. Thank you both so much today for your thoughts and your insight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh.
Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thanks all for tuning in.
Bye.